Hello everyone. I just want to clarify this is the VOD. I have already watched this when it was live, so instead of just doing a reaction video, instead I want to give my own thoughts on each of the changes coming up tomorrow. As of the time of recording, it is October 1st, and so I'm going to be skipping all over this video a lot. I hope you enjoy, and if you do enjoy, please like, subscribe, and comment. Everything helps. Now, giving you my thoughts on Devstream 181, Kome and the Five Fates. So, so this music right here, I like what they've done, because it's a lot of foreshadowing, right? Like, those horror strings are so synonymous with things like The Infested. And then, honestly, the soundstage for this is really similar to, like, New War, almost. I know it's hard, I know it's, like, weird for me to say this, but that's what it at least reminds me of. It's like similar to the New War and what it sounded like. Now, oh yeah, right. I think I should say this, that, spoiler warning, this is for an update that hasn't come out yet. So if you're a new player, maybe, it just depends if you're okay with things. I know some people are okay with spoilers, I know some people aren't. So make your own decisive action on what you would like to do here. Okay, so let's start with what they started with.
We haven't been back here since 2019?
5 years is a long time.
A long time. We're so excited. Tokyo Game Show! So excited!
Tokyo Game Show の皆さん、おはようございます。5年ぶりに日本に来れて光栄です。
Alright, we have exactly 59 minutes or else we get kicked off the stage, so we have so much to show you today.
Honestly, they actually managed to get it just below the time limit. I'm impressed. I will be honest, there's a lot to go over.
そして内容もかなり濃いものとなっているので、まあちょっと負けていきましょうか。
I'm not Japanese myself.
I am your community and live ops director on Warframe.
Also, I didn't notice this until way later on, but I only just noticed that Megan is like fully tatted up.
Hello everyone.
Like she's got tattoos everywhere.
I'm the creative director of Warframe.
Honestly, she's done such a wonderful job for the game, generally speaking, I think.
President of Digital Extremes. Watch very closely because during the stream I will disappear and be replaced by a very special guest.
This guest is very special indeed. And that's Edwin, the translator. Honestly, he does a pretty good job of translating.
Our banter, Alright, here at Tokyo Game Show, for the first time ever, we have an actual Warframe booth, which we are asked.
Alright, so I'm just gonna skip to the Aoi cosplay. And, I mean, I'll be so real with you. It was hard for me to think that this was done by someone who isn't Lightning cosplay. Like, this is someone else. But, like, the quality is on point. They did a really good job. Especially with, like, all the poses that they decided to go with. Because they're all... well, except for this. I don't think I recall this, but every other pose that she does is pretty much the same ones that you would see in some media of 1999 as she showcases. I cannot read Japanese, so either way.
Wow.
Alright, a Warframe right,
Suge
Devstream,
desu.
why are we here today? So just to give everybody some context, this is our 181st Devstream, and we're very grateful to be doing it live from Japan. And we're going to talk about the future of Warframe today for the next probably 50 minutes now.
そう、デブストリーム、初めての方は、デジタルエクストリームスやっている、開発配信であって、今回はなんと181回目をここ東京ゲームショウでできるということなので、早速やっていきましょうか。
And in a super cringe way, I will practice my Nihongo thank you for Japan. So,
レベッカからメッセージが日本語であるそうです。
日本の皆さんには10年以上もの愛がサポートをしていただいて非常に幸運に感じています。Thank you, everyone. So,
I don't know how
we
well she
have
did
a
on
lot to
that,
show
but
us
it sounds
in
really
Sen,
good.
And everyone will be translating it. So we have so much, we might as well just get started. Maybe, is it Sheldon's turn?
It's Sheldon's turn.
あとはシェルドンさんからお願いできますか。
Well, you may have heard Sony made an announcement about the PS5 Pro, and you may be wondering, when will Warframe support this?
そう、先日発表された PS5 Pro、これウォーフレームでどうなるのかっていう話ですよね。
Well, I'm happy to announce that Warframe is certified for PS5 Pro and will be available at the launch in November.
ソニー公認でウォーフレームは PS5 Pro 対応となっており、エンハンストグラフィック
I sort of
を取り入
expected
れ
this just
11月
because
に実装されます。
Warframe already Warframe started on PC, and they've had to cater to a very wide range of PCs. Like I've seen this thing run on like Windows 7 machines.
Our largest growing
Wait for it.
platform on mobile, and I want to talk a little bit about having this in your hands.
Okay. Aside from that, as I was saying though, I kind of expected the PS5 Pro bit just because Warframe started on PC and PCs widely range from all different types of performance setups. And this is more so that they're pushing into the high end on that side. I'm not entirely surprised. I'm not entirely surprised by this. I'd be more surprised if they said that they were no longer, if they weren't, honestly. Like if they weren't supported by the PS5 Pro. But moving on.
そう、モバイル版ウォーフレーム、皆さん遊んでいただけたでしょうか。結構日本でマーケットが大きく、そのこともちょっとお知らせしたいことがある。
That also reminds me, wow, like during TennoCon, the fact that Sheldon told us at least that mobile by itself introduced 700,000 new players. Like that to me is just astronomical. Of just like, sure, yes, there could have been more, but like that's almost 1 million off of mobile of all gaming platforms. And not even like Android, this is specifically iOS. Right? And I actually watched another stream. I think it was Ghoul Like School. I recommend checking them out. But credit where credit is due. I think it was them, and they had done the market research sort of showing that Apple is only 30% of the global mobile market, and Android makes up the other 70%. So just big wow.
There are 3 questions we get all the time. The first question is, we'll wait for that question. We'll get to that question eventually.
We all know that the
is,
first question
it the whole
is
game?
Android.
If you play all of Warframe, including Kome and the 5 Fates on your mobile phone.
そもそもモバイル版ってちゃんと全部ゲームが遊べるのか、新アップデートとかもあるのか、そこですよね。
And the answer to that is absolutely yes. The other thing is, can you play with all your friends? Can you cross-platform play? Can you cross-save? The answer to that is also yes.
そう、もちろんゲームのコンテンツ、11年ものコンテンツすべてモバイルで遊べて、それプラスクロスプレイ、クロスセーブにも対応しており、全世
They
界
actually
の
go over it later,
もちろん
but
遊べます。
I'll save that for
But I
later.
wonder, chat, what would be a question you might see,
ここで
Rebecca?
ちょっと Twitch チャットからも質問を受けましょうか。
Unironically, all of chat is asking about Android.
Android.
そう
Well, I mean, yeah, no duh. Again, 70% Android. most of us use Android. I use Android. So, you know, but one thing I do kind of want to discuss with Nuance is just the fact that Android has a lot of potential for one particular area that's been growing. Now, I'm not sure about all of you, but there's an operating system simply known as Linux. I guess it's more of a tree of operating systems under Linux. I actually use it personally, and it's been great, but honestly, Android is, funny enough, a branch of Linux. So if they were to make an Android version of it, then that means they could work a few extra changes to make a Linux native version of Warframe, and I'm extremely excited about some development like that.
やっぱりね、Twitch チャット皆さん、Android のこと、Android 版のこと聞いてますね。
At TennoCon, we talked about the fact that we were working on Android. I'm happy to say that we will have an announcement of the launch date and a page where people can sign up on a Devstream before the end of the year.
And I think that right there is quite impressive. Not the most impressive, but it's impressive enough because like I would have expected this thing to be announced sometime middle of next year, but the fact is Sheldon is like I need you to understand DE is not DE doesn't they don't say dates like this, like they don't say these kinds of things unless they're absolutely confident that they can deliver within the time frame that they say that they are going to. And I would expect maybe this dev stream would be like at the end of the year, the last dev stream, but even still, right? Sheldon is saying that there's going to be a sign up page by the end of the year, and that to me is wow. And I know I'm ranting all about this. I'm sorry, but this is completely unscripted, so I hope you understand.
Android 版に関しましては、天皇コンで開発が発表されて、今もちろん開発中で、年末までには、続報が出るので、ぜひ楽しみにしてください。
And for chat, exclamation Android will tell us that you're into it.
Oh, trust me, I think they know that we're all into it.
Actually, chat is saying Edwin's doing amazing, so
That was a little bit of a sweet note, yeah.
Oh, that's it. Oh, there is one other thing. We have all these people at DE working together.
Did they just forget? Did they just forget what they were doing, like, up on stage for, like, 3 seconds?
Amazing team. And if Megan would have been great and grabbed a slide about what they're working at, she could tell you.
I could, and
Oh, you do?
put a lot of work into this. A few years ago, the old guard, as we like to call them,
Oh.
no age, just old guard, decided that us young
Bald guard.
Who?
No.
Bald Jeff's on the team. Jeff,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, Jeff's cool.
Yeah.
The bald guard? I totally missed that the first time. What? 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 Well, I mean, at least they corrected themselves. Jeff's on the team, and we've seen Jeff from TennoCon.
Decided that the young crew was going to take Warframe and make it what it is currently, but Soulframe is our second game that Devstream is developing.
Okay, seriously though, I am so excited for this. Like, at first I was a bit apprehensive, but with what they've shown us over time, I really want to dive in here. Like, I really want to be a part of this. And funny thing is, I've already set up my Envoy name, though I do kind of want to change it if possible. It's whatever, though. Like, fact is, I've seen many people complaining that they haven't gotten their keys yet. It's just what it is, I suppose. I still find it funny, though. Like, everyone is really into this, I think, and it's kind of cool that so much support has been rallied for a game like this, because it's such a departure from Warframe. Now, let me be absolutely clear. if you've been on the channel before I decided to delete a whole bunch of videos, you will have known, and I'm just going to point this out, that I did play Destiny 2 for a little while. I don't want to get into that debate right now, but all I'm going to say is this is surprising to me just a little bit because of the reaction I see in the Destiny community about things like Marathon or Gummy Bears or Payback, which are the code names that Bungie used for their whole thing. I'm sorry to bring Destiny into this, but just to give context, it isn't really. I think this is maybe the first time I've seen a solo game company making another game and announcing that they're making another game actually have really positive feedback, like this level of positive feedback. And if you take a look at the Destiny community and how they've reacted to, say, Marathon, everyone basically hated it from the start, and it's only gotten worse as time has gone. So, again, I'm sorry for ranting at this point, but it's just my thoughts on this is wow. I want to be a part of this. A lot of people want to be a part of this, and this is like the opposite reaction to which I thought was going to happen based off of what I saw in Bungie.
ソウルフレーム、これは社内でもちょっと世代交代が多くて、でベテランの開発チームがこっちのソウルフレームに開発中の2つのゲームが現在開発中です。
It's currently still in its pre-alpha, so
I wonder where that kind of communication came from. Soulframe is currently in its preludes, and I do wonder where pre-alpha came from.
Soulframe preludes, but we do send out keys every single week, so if you are interested in perhaps getting a key, you can claim your envoy title at soulframe.com.
そう、まだアルファぐらいの段階の開発なんですけど、ウェブページである soulframe.com で、プレイヤー名である死者の称号を登録していただけると、毎週招待を行っているプレリュードっていうアルファに参加できるので、ぜひ登録してください。
So the Soulframe
You know, I sort of like that. Preludo.
crew is watching. Get back to work. You got a lot to do. It's 10 p.m. actually. Go to bed.
That's sort of funny. Megan trying to call people out.
All right, let's get into some Warframe news.
Go, Warframe.
Warframe.
Today on this Devstream, it's going to be 3 parts. The first part is what is new and what even is our next update, Kume and the Five Fates.
今回のデブストリーム、ワーフレームパーツに関しては3つのパーツでお届けさせていただいて、まず最初に、孔明と5つの定め、何が出るのっていう、まずそこからですよね。
Also, what quality of life and fun changes are coming in Kume and the Five Fates.
They honestly have already given us plenty of like what quality of life is
And
coming.
we brought some
So
sneak peek first looks at Warframe 1999 that's coming later in 2024.
where did that come from? That's my question. Who whooped?
すいません、ウォーフレームですね。ウォーフレーム99のコンテンツ、どのようになるのか。
I'm sorry for pausing it so many times, but I find it funny because what Edwin is saying is not Warframe 1999. He's saying Warframe 99 because QQQ is 99 in Japanese.
いろいろ紹介していきたいと思います。
All right, game time. Okay, is it trailer time? It's trailer time. So we're going to start things off with a bang. We are going to present you the full gameplay trailer of Kome and the Five Fates, which is very exciting because we had the opportunity to do our first Japanese language trailer with none other than Tsuda Kenjiro-san narrating the video, and I was like...
So Tsuda Kenjiro, or Kenjiro Tsuda, fun fact about him is actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and play this for you, and then I'll just tell you why the voice might sound familiar.
Lucky enough to participate in the recording session virtually to provide context for what we were doing today.
そう、今回のアップデートトレーラーさせていただいて担当し
Let's go. Here it is. So I want to clarify. Yes, it says October 3rd, like the 10th month, 3rd day. That's only in Japan. They clarified this a little bit. I know people sort of miss it though. It is tomorrow, October 2nd, it's coming October 2nd in North America and Europe, but in Asia, that's when it's October 3rd, not the 2nd. But before we continue, you might have recognized the voice for the narrator there. Kenjiro Tsuda is known for a lot of different roles. Some of his most notable work is in the Japanese version of Yu-Gi-Oh!, he was Seto Kaiba, and for Jujutsu Kaisen, he's Kento Naname, and yes, he will break your heart when you watch that, when you get to that part, but he's also, like, if you're a big My Hero Academia fan as well, he's also the voice actor for Overhaul. You might remember Kai Chisaki. You might remember. I think he was season 2 villain, but regardless, he's well known, and I'm more surprised that they were able to get him to narrate something like this for them, because surely he's got to be a busy man, especially when it comes to like anime. Like the anime creation process, the anime creation process is quite grueling, and honestly, it's a topic that is deep in what it has, but let's continue.
I love that song. Oh my god.
Yeah, so good.
がいいですよね。はい。
Kome and the Five Fates launches next week, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. And the rest of the stream, we have tons of information explaining everything, more information on these things.
もちろんこの配信でもいろいろ情報が出るんですけど、まず最初にこのアップデート、来週、次週ですね、日本時間の10月3日実装です。
But it's not a spider. I know she looks like a spider, and it's a coincidence, I swear. Sorry, Steve.
Yep, confirmed not to be a spider. Do not always trust what Steve has to say. Steve Sinclair is infamous for trolling us over the years. So just take every word he says with a grain of salt, because, you know, he very well might just be trolling you.
No spider. Spider frame. No spider.
雲ではないんですよね、テーマは。
Okay, so Kome and Five Fates. coming next week, October 2nd in North America, October 3rd in Japanese and most Asian regions.
ですね。さっきも言ったように実装は10月3日日本時間ですね、全機種でもちろんモバイルですで全部、実装されます。
And as you can see from the trailer, we love the Japanese culture. We, over the 11
You know,
years of Warframe, have been so inspired in numerous ways throughout the development of Japan, and we really wanted to put all of our love into what is a love letter to the Japanese culture with Kume and the Five Fates.
そう長年
first thing is, I can't quite get over the fact that she said kume a whole bunch of times. That's just me, but ultimately, they did a bonus dev stream after this that I might review over if this happens to get any attention, I suppose. But ultimately, yeah, the Komi and the Five Fates and all. The thing is, she goes on to say about how they appreciate Japanese culture, and I can extremely vouch for this, which I will do when they go ahead and show off Kome's abilities, just so that you can fully appreciate why they chose that specific naming convention, right? But let me ponder you with this. I'm not sure if you know of Legendary Drops. I would say he's a phenomenal creator on YouTube, and I definitely recommend that you check out his channel. But one thing that I saw with his reaction to this is, and this is something that I think deeply resonated with some of his more recent videos and with how things are in the current moment, but just how is it that a free-to-play game like Warframe appreciates Japanese culture more than Assassin's Creed Shadows? Sure, Assassin's Creed Shadows might be weird, but the fact is, it's part of the Assassin's Creed franchise. And the Assassin's Creed franchise is well known for appreciating cultures across the globe. This is like the first time they messed up on it. So, all I'm gonna say is that I think it's great that they decided to keep true to Japan's culture.
ウォーフレームもやはり日本のカルチャーから結構影響を受けて今回11年目で初めてこのように、孔明という形で DE から皆様へラブレターという形で開発させていただきました。
Yeah, and thematically, Komei is, yes, she's sort of the gambling Warframe. We wanted a Lady Luck and RNG theme frame,
and I've decided to rename her the Kakegurui wo Puremo, just to Japanese it even more. In case you didn't know, Kakegurui means like a gambling addict. And you'll see why I say that.
You'll see very shortly a video kind of explaining all her powers and what makes her, have dice and weird other things. She's probably the craziest frame.
She is, for sure.
そう今回の、58体目が彼女なんですけど、落とした。そう日本の巫女さんのちょっとイメージしてちょっとランダム性運勢が絡んでくる要素がかなり多くなってるので、もちろんそれを紹介するビデオもあるので
I'm gonna drop my phone too, so we all do it.
That's sort of that I was not I forgot that she did this. I forgot that she actually dropped her phone on purpose to make Sheldon feel better.
I don't have a case.
Okay, who's ready to see Kume's abilities?
孔明アビリティ見たいですか
Let's go!
Is Twitch chat ready? Is Twitch chat? Oh yeah, let's
Oh,
go.
trust me,
All right,
Twitch
let's
chat's
take a look.
always
Hi,
ready.
Twitch.
お願いします。
Introducing Komei, our 58th Warframe.
That too. That's like a big thing I was sort of realizing, honestly. The fact that we're getting our 58th tomorrow. We're getting Warframe number 59 in December. We're almost at 60 Warframes. How do they keep coming up with things? That's my question. How do they keep coming up with things?
The Dice Maiden. Komei weaves fate to unleash damage and ensure her survival. To the virtuous, she is an oracle. To the wicked, a perilous game of chance. Komei's passive, Shadow's Trinity. One of her weapons inflicts random status effects for a duration.
Sorry for pausing too early, but yeah, so the random status effect thing, you'll notice here that it doesn't show where it is, but let me just point out, in the bonus dev stream that they did, it's clarified, it's right here. If you see where my cursor is, it's right here. And if you see on the lower right, you'll see the 5 dice here. This is what they mean by the gambling warframe. You'll notice it every time she casts an ability that these 5 dice will reroll. But right beside it, it will show you what weapon currently in your arsenal is being buffed by her passive. But continuing on.
Komei's first ability, Kumihimo, weaves the threads of destiny. Enemies who touch them suffer a random elemental status effect. A roll of triple sixes creates threads that will deal one of every elemental status effect type.
And just to clarify on what Kumihimo is sort of like the idea of the threads of fate, the threads of destiny. And this is an ability that strictly weaves those threads of fate into traps. So that already in itself is pretty accurate lore-wise. I know I say lore-wise, but I mean, come on. Japanese culture and lore, might as well.
Komei's second ability, Omikuji.
So this right here is pretty neat because a lot of people also thought this was just like for their showcase. No, this is the in-game UI that they're going to show you. And you'll also notice that it pops up over here as well. And this is important because
Komei glimpses a favorable future and the precise steps needed to reach it. Complete the challenge presented to earn a decree. A roll of triple sixes grants a decree without having to complete a challenge.
So that in and of itself, right? She's the first Warframe to get decrees outside of Duviri. Now, just based off of that, I think she's going to be strong as heck. Like, very strong, because we see that Nimble Gunner right there had in fact gotten a rank before. It's very much possible that these will stack until the end of mission. So for an endurance run, she could just blitz through everything with everything that could be acquired. And I think that's just crazy to think about. Oh yeah, right. I also forgot to mention, before she gets to say anything, Omikuji and its cultural reference is at Shinto shrines, you could perform Omikuji, which is you take like a slip of paper from the shrine, and the slip of paper is sort of like the fortunes that you see in fortune cookies. It'll sort of tell you whether or not today's going to be like a good day or a bad day for you. And a traditional thing for it is if it's sort of if the omen reads that it's a bad day, if it's going to be bad luck, you go ahead and go to a tree at the shrine and tie it on one of the branches. So this is the symbolic representation that you are leaving your bad luck behind.
Komei's third ability, Omamori. Surround yourself with Omamori charms, each with a chance to have enemy attacks heal you instead of damage you. The number of charms is determined by Komei's dice roll. A roll of triple sixes grants invulnerability for the duration of your Omamori.
You know what? Hold on. I think I see the weapon thing up here. But no, they officially moved it over here for clarity.
Charms.
So, Omamori charms are in fact a real thing in Japan, and it again relates to those Shinto shrines. Omamori charms are, because like you have charms that are meant to like bring intelligence, and bring good decisions, good fortunes. The Omamori charms specifically, they're supposed to ward off evil spirits. They're supposed to provide protection and health and just those types of things. And it's honestly represented perfectly here because these charms have the chance of reversing damage into healing, which sort of fits the aspect of being protected and being healthy. But the fact is, the protection part also goes into the fact that she is invulnerable as long as there are 3/6s. And let's just say this is kind of busted because, like, shield gating is already a massive thing. Health gates are starting to become a thing, but shield gate and over gates, those are like big parts of like Warframe meta culture. And this just sort of outright breaks that. If you're lucky, you just break everyone's survivability builds.
Wield your foe's fate threads like the strings of marionettes. Komei's dice determine how many status effects foes in front of Komei will suffer. A roll of 666s maximizes status effect stacks and extends Bunraku to enemies behind Komei.
So, fun thing about Bunraku is the name of like the first puppet shows that would be done in Japan, right? And the fact is, the whole identity of this ability is that you are dangling your enemies like puppets on a string. And so that's already an accurate historical reference there. Again, how is it that Warframe does cultural let me rephrase that. How is it that Komei does Japanese culture better than a big studio like Ubisoft with their Assassin's Creed titles, no less? I could have imagined Japanese culture being like really weird and really warped if it was like in, say, Tom Clancy's The Division or Rainbow Six Siege. But really, guys, Ubisoft, step it up, man. A free-to-play is beating you. A free-to-play is beating you.
Komei arrives with 2 signature weapons. The first is the Higasa, a gun umbrella-inspired weapon.
So, funny she mentions gun umbrella-inspired weapon. Higasa is supposed to be like the term for a umbrella, like a parasol. So, that is sort of a pretty thing. But I want you to notice one thing for me, and that is the fact that we just got a Borderlands weapon in Warframe now. Like, this is a Hyperion
burst fire
weapon,
mechanic, with
right?
its alt fire unleashing a strong beam of damage. Kills from Higasa.
Like, this is more advanced than a Hyperion weapon, but the fact is we get a frontal shield right there.
Charge your alt fire. When aiming down sights, the Higasa spreads open.
See? Like, getting attacked, no damage, because it's getting blocked by the Hyperion shield. I love it. The fact is, I've kind of wanted another game to replicate this kind of thing. And the fact is, DE did it. DE finally did it. And they've made it into an extra mechanic already. I wouldn't say this is the most creative that they've been, but it's certainly a step up from literally every other game that I've played so far. And yes, that includes Destiny 2, like I've played before. I'm sorry, but a majority of those exotics just don't feel like exotics.
To block incoming damage and charges the alt-fire beam. Komei's second signature weapon, the Amanata, is a divine polearm inspired by the Naginata style of weaponry. Every X swings provides a random buff, and max roll gives you all of the buffs at once for Amanata. Both the Higasa and the Amanata will have augments available from Steel Path offerings that afflict a random status effect and provide overall weapon stat buffs.
So, cool thing about the Amanata is that it can sort of be broken down where Ama is like representative of heaven and Nara as in the last syllables of Naginata. So it's a pretty cool thing there, but cool reference that they specify Naginata, as the Naginata historically were mostly wielded by female warriors of Japan. Kome is one like that. And I think it's cool that they recall the Naginata specifically for that reason.
Kome will also have an alternate helmet, the Orihime helmet, for additional fashion frame.
Now, I only know what the Hime part means. Hime meaning, like, princess. I don't know what Orihime means, but if I had to guess, it's probably Shrine Maiden. Take this section with a grain of salt, because at this point, I'm talking out of my ass. I do not know what Orihime means other than some kind of princess.
Frame choices. With inspiration to Kome's abilities, 2 new emotes are coming. The first being the Buyo emote, and the second, the Rolling Fates emote.
I really want the Rolling Fates emote because of that.
We hope you enjoy weaving the fates with Kome on October 2nd.
So, Kome is unlike any Warframe we've done, and just to really kind of emphasize how cool it is, every time she casts a power, she rolls her 5 fates, and those dice determine randomly.
Okay, you know what? Now that I think about it, when I really, really think about it, oh my god, they just made the D&D frame. You're rolling a 5d6 for your spells. Oh, I did not even realize this. D&D frame, wow.
An added benefit to each cast, so it's pretty crazy.
そう、アップデート名でも5つの定め、これ何を意味しているかっていうと、アビリティ、動画で見たかもしれないですけど、画面右下ですね、にあるアビリティを発動するたびに、
No, the new deluxe skins.
Whoa.
今回もちろんスキンも用意されています。
I think this is great. Firstly, they've already mentioned it, but on the right side here we have the Volt Raijin skin. Raijin meaning something of like a thunder god. And let's be fair, if it wasn't Volt, it'd be Gyre, but it fits Volt because Volt's older and he looks rad as hell. On the left side we have the Nova Aozakura skin. And Aozakura could more or less mean essentially blue sakura. Sakura being like cherry blossoms. And here we see like the detailing here. All the flowers here are in fact blue. Yes, there are pink lights here, but all of them are blue.
Wow! Sugoi!
Sugoi! So here we have 2 deluxe skins. We have, first up, don't look at that. We have Volt Raijin skin.
と、まずこの2つから見ていきましょうか。最初のが Volt Raijin ですね。
And he is a Thunder God inspired skin, and he also comes with cosmetics, a Signa that we see here, as well.
That Signa. I want that Signa. I'm most definitely gonna get it, but oh, that Signa.
Alas, and ephemera.
And just to clarify, this right here, these lightning tails, that's the ephemera that they're referring to.
デラックススキン、その名の通り雷神をイメージしてデザインされたスキンとなっていて、でシグネやエフェラもついてくる予定です。
And then Nova Deluxe is coming in this update as well. Edwin, please.
すいません。ノバの新しいデラックススキンが出るということで、こちらがノバの
This Signa is very nice as well.
青桜スキンですね。
Oh wow.
And she will also have a Signa.
And just to clarify, this bow is in fact the ephemera. It's not a Scion of some sort. It is the ephemera.
And and one of the greatest ephemeras I've ever seen in my life.
そうこれがまあ桜をイメージした美しいスキンとなっていて、まあアクセサリーもそうこれエフェメラ帯丸っていうんですけど、もうこれもついてきますね。
Kawaii? Kawaii?
Kawaii.
Kawaii.
Thank you to our friends at Sumo for helping us with the development.
Another deluxe skin coming in Command the Five Fates you may have seen is the Caliban Orfeo skin.
He comes with a pretty massive rework with him too.
Which, hot off the press, is going to apply to
so
any site.
Let's take a look at this Caliban rework. I can fill in some more details.
It's like we've learned in our 11 years of development. Wow.
Wow, who would have thought that learning from your own development process might be a good thing for your company? Bungie. I still have a lot of resentment for that company. They need to do a lot if they want me to consider coming back, honestly. And I know this is off topic, but I just feel I might as well. I'm probably not going to talk much about them in future videos anyway, so.
そうこのデラックススキン、もともとは武器専用だったんですけど、どのサイズ武器にも使える一応デラックススキンが登場するということで、そのちょっと調整ももちろんされ、そしてなんと、アップデートが出て、どうぞ VTR の方。
Hello, I'm here to talk to you about Caliban and the rework we just did.
Orphan Jesus!
So what did we change? For his passive, we didn't really change much because it was already pretty powerful. But for his first ability...
Okay, so firstly, he lied a little bit. Caliban as it is now, he cannot gain his adaptation stacks while immune. They've changed it to where he can gain adaptation stacks while immune, similar to the adaptation mod.
Razor Gyre, we changed it quite a bit. It is now a fast dash that moves forward, actually hits all enemies. For every enemy it hits, it actually regens some health to you and also refunds some of the energy that you spent. And then it applies a brand new status that only Caliban has. All of his abilities do Tau damage, and now they can deal Tau status. And what Tau status does is basically when an enemy is affected by it, they're more likely to be affected by other statuses. Be it from other players, from yourself, from your weapons, any source of status, now they get more of a chance to get it. For Sentient Wrath, please.
So before we talk about Sentient Wrath, I will go ahead... Did they really just say Sentient Wraith? I missed that, but... So yeah, Razor Gyre, the Tau damage and Tau status is crazy, from what I hear. Because essentially, it's similar to how Puncture makes enemies take more crit chance and how Cold makes enemies take more crit damage. Here, he's essentially saying that Tau status makes enemies take more status chance. Aside from, other status... Aside from the Tau status itself, other statuses will be more likely to apply. That's great, in my opinion. But... yeah, Razor Gyre also refunding energy on hit. I think they took that as a hint from Nidus, because Nidus' first ability is also one of the few abilities that refund energy on enemy hit. I think it might be the only one outside of, maybe Energy Vampire off of Trinity. But I think it's cool that they made it like that, because it's no longer an annoying state where, right now, to play him, Razor Gyre is you spin like a Beyblade, and then you be useful for the duration of that ability. Or not useful, you'll be useless for the duration of that ability.
Sped up the casting quite a bit, as you can see it's much smoother now. Also, when enemies get lifted, now they're not floating around, so it's much easier to hit them in the weak points. Also, once you actually hit them, they don't lose the effect like they used to. And also, we remove the cap on how many enemies can be affected by it.
So, before he talks about Lethal Progeny, Sentient Wrath, I think good overall changes. Because having them, just be lifted and, tumble around, honestly, if it were up to me, I like the style of lift being like a ragdoll sort of thing, but I would honestly rather it be the suspend type lift that we see here, because it just makes weak points easier to hit. But I understand for normal lifted, Melees don't generally require headshots, even though melees can in fact get headshots in Warframe. They don't really require them. Instead, they just whack, 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 and everything's dead. But that's just my personal preference. I prefer this over what was, and I'm glad that he made the change there.
For Lethal Progeny, you can now get all three sentients with a single cast, and you can choose between three different types of sentients. The Conquilist is the one that you're familiar with, that attacks on melee, has the highest damage, and will also copy your fourth attack. And then you have the Ortholist, which specializes in ranged attacks. They will actually...
So, that right there, we only see it for a little bit, but that right there is their turret mode, and you'll see...
And spread a lot of Tau status around the field.
Now, the fact that there are multiple types of sentience makes Lethal Progeny really, really potent in terms of versatility. Right? Also, one clarification, he's about to talk about the Sumulist. Just key word here, you can only summon one Sumulist, but you'll understand why.
And then you have the Sumulist, who specializes in summoning a bunch of different sentients that will pull aggro for enemies and give you extra shield protection for you and your allies. For Fusion Strike, we spell the cast, we also make you invulnerable during it. Also, we swapped a few things around. Before it used to be a beam, then an explosion, then we would leave a lingering field that would strip defenses from enemies. That didn't really work out great because you have already dealt the damage and then you strip the defenses. So now we've flipped it. As the beam is coming in, every hit from the beam is what strips the defenses. We also made it so now the beam can hit multiple times as it's passing by, so the damage is increased. Also, the base damage of itself is increased. And finally, any enemy that's hit by it gets tagged and then explodes afterwards. So
one thing that I think is a little bit unclear here is if there's still a lingering field or not. And I think, what I think at least, with Fusion Strike is they removed the lingering field in favor of just having the beams do the armor strip and stuff. It would have been nice to keep the field, but I understand where they're going with this. Honestly, though, the fact that it now does damage makes it so that it's pretty good, but I will always miss the fact that, at least what it is right now, before the update, is that Fusion Strike is a gathering tool. It does an implosion when the three beams converge.
There's quite a bit more damage going on there. Hope you're excited for Caliban. He will be free for the first 2 weeks of the update, so be sure to log in and hopefully...
Yes. Starting tomorrow until October 16th. Please, please, please log in, get your free Caliban, or if you've already gotten a Caliban like myself, go ahead and scrap whichever Caliban you'd want and get that free slot, baby.
You will enjoy his skin, his new rework. I can't wait to see what craziness you get onto him, especially with the brand new Tau status. Take care. Adios.
Arigato, Pablo! Arigato! Pablo, thank you. And live now in our forums, we do have the official dev workshop up, so if you do want to see that all in writing, the team has put that together for you now.
Yeah, the dev workshop's nice and all, but... Okay, so here, I just want to go over these in my personal opinion. I think this is fine. For the majority of people who just play Wukong, not for this specific style, but just play him as intended, this doesn't really change anything for y'all. Celestial Stomp no longer stuns CC immune enemies. I mean, honestly, duh. The fact is, I think this is just a bug fix. Like, they found that Celestial Stomp was still stunning, like, overguarded enemies and stuff, and they said, no more. Right? But honestly, I think there can be some changes that could be made to overguard overall. Just an idea. Now, can no longer activate Cloudwalker until the Heavy Slam animation is complete. I'll be completely honest, I thought when they meant Heavy Slam animation, I thought they meant the ability ending animation, but no. I did not realize this. Apparently, this has been a problem mostly in Eastern servers, but apparently a lot of people have been using Cloudwalker to cancel heavy slam animation so that they could just heavy slam over and over and over again with Cloudwalker. And I think this from what I understand at least, this change is good for the philosophy of Warframe because this was another AFK farm that people were using in place of using, like, say, the Kuva Zar with his clone. Now instead, it's Cloudwalker with heavy slams. So this is mainly to shut down more AFK farms, and I think, in my personal opinion, that AFK farms shouldn't really be a thing in the game. Because at that point, you're not even playing the game. What's the point? You're not playing.
So a couple of other Warframe changes that we have in this update is we are making a couple changes to Wukong.
Yeah, so we do apologize that we are making these changes, but based on player feedback and the stats we see and our general philosophy when making these changes, they will slow down a bit of the techniques people use for Wukong. And again, I apologize that we're making these changes, but we feel it's better for the health of the game.
Oh, no, I'll just do it live. Rebecca, you don't really need to apologize. You're thinking of the health of the overall game, and I commend you for being bold enough to know that you're probably gonna get backlash for this and still continue with the decision. Because you know it's gonna be better for the game overall in the end.
Closely because
No.
She's getting a few changes.
Hildren got a few changes, and honestly, I didn't think these were too much of an issue to begin with. Like, Balefire Charger, yeah, I could understand, but the deactivation of Aegis Storm, I can sort of see why, but honestly, with how her shield gate is, I think it's fine before the changes hit. But you know what? A buff is a buff, and I'm not going to complain about it. But the reduced shield cost and increased charge shot damage of Balefire Charger is very nice, I think. Personally, I would have instead made it so that the AoE on it is just a tad bit bigger, because I think it could use a little bit of range. That's just me, I think.
Changes as well.
そうギルドのファンの皆さんやこれ嬉しいんじゃないでしょうかね。結構ちょっと先に
So sorry that
Mommy.
yeah.
みんな
how do you
Okay,
say
hold on.
muscle mommy?
Muscle mommy.
かなり使いやすい調整にはなってると思います。
I'm so sorry that I made Edwin translate muscle
This whole
mommy.
interaction is
How do
just
you,
so
how
funny.
do you say muscle mommy?
Muscle mommy in
です
Japanese.
せマソマミ
Can you say it?
What is it?
Muscle mommy? How do you say it?
Yeah.
みんな助けてどうすればいい
He actually reveals what he says later. I find it absolutely hilarious that this happened to begin with, but oh, the fact that they put him on the spot to say muscle mommy in Japanese. I cannot imagine a world where they would say muscle mommy on stage and get invited again. I feel like this is maybe their last. This might be their last entry in Tokyo Game Show. Maybe. It just depends, I suppose. But I do not imagine a world where this happens and they make their translator actually say it. Well, you know what? I'll just continue it.
Again, what is it? How do you say it?
I was asking the crowd for help.
And in case you missed it, he said he was asking for help. Mina tasukete basically translates to everyone please save me.
Wait, mommy is Oka-san? Oka-san?
Okasa.
Mama Okasa. Oh no!
あそのままでじゃあそのままでいき
Okay,
ましょう
sorry, go ahead.
We get distracted. But that's not all.
That's not all.
Nova's getting a deluxe skin, but she's also getting a pretty large rework.
Now this right here, I was so goddamned flabbergasted. No, that's not the right word. Why is brain not think? This I was super surprised about. Just the fact that Nova was getting a rework. Like, she's widely used in everything. She is a bit lackluster in areas. I was not thinking they would pick up on thinking that Nova needs a rework. I will be so frank with you though. It looks like they might have actually taken some of my suggestions that I've posted on the forums. See, uh the main suggestion that I had for Nova was to move her away from impact puncture slash on her first, radiation on her second, and then like I think it was blasts on the fourth or something like that. It might be. I'd have to check in game, but that means I'd have to tab out of this. Um Ultimately though, my main suggestion was just make all of it blast. And another note is to one thing is make all abilities baseline have a 50% status chance of the elements that they have, unless otherwise stated. This is just my personal thing. Now, they didn't go 100% for that, but you can see, like in the Caliban rework, they specifically made it so that he can deal Tau status. And in this rework you're about to see now, you're going to see where my suggestion went into their development.
In the scope of things, and of course, why listen to us when you can listen to Pablo?
Pablo. Pablo's such a great guy. You know. Let me clarify. Pablo's a great guy, not because he makes all of these reworks and just comes out on top. Personality-wise, he's just great. Like, again, Sheldon mentioned it earlier. Not earlier in this video, but earlier in TennoCon. Pablo is a cat lover supreme, and honestly, I don't think I've met someone who genuinely loves their cat a lot, who also doesn't vibe with people, if that makes sense. You'll understand what I mean. I think you all understand what I mean already.
Hope you didn't miss me too much. Here I am, once again with a...
Let me point out one thing just to show off that he's a cat lover supreme. Take a look at his mic. That's not dust. That's cat hair. That's all cat fur.
Another rework. How is this possible? Noah, we made a lot of changes to her. Hopefully you're excited. Starting with her brand new passive. Now when she kills an enemy that's slowed down, they have an increased chance to drop a health orb, and if the enemy is sped up, they have an increased chance to drop an energy orb.
Now, this as a passive by itself, right? I think, personally, I don't know what y'all think, but I think this is just crazy. Like, this is crazy town. People would kill for this because, let's put it this way, right? Exothermic is an augment for Ember, and it's a really great augment. It generates a lot of energy orbs, but the fact is, it's 15% just like here, and she's getting this is half of her passive, right? And then you have Gara. Gara does have a higher chance, I believe, at 50%, but even so, the fact is, you're getting this as a passive. I don't know about you, but that screams equilibrium. And on top of that, this just sounds like complete bunkers. I feel like they might nerf it to like 5% or something, or make it stack weird with how normal drop tables go. I do not know. I think this might get nerfed. I'm hoping they don't, because it's going to be super funny to just see a floor of red and blue.
And that kind of gives you a hint of where we're going later on. I'll save that for later. Null Star is now recastable by default. Also, we increase the base amount of particles it has, and now the damage reduction from each particle scales with strength. So between those two things, it's much easier to get to the cap of damage reduction.
So before it goes on, let me clarify with a few numbers, because ultimately that's what this particularly comes down to. At base, you got 6 particles. Now they've increased it to 12. Just to give context, is it base power strength you've now bumped up your damage reduction from, let's see, because what it takes is it takes 18 particles to get to 90% damage reduction, which is the cap. And this means that each particle does 5%. So you've gone from a 30% damage reduction to a 60% damage reduction right there with no additional duration, no additional power strength on that end. That's already pretty good, but the fact is power strength is going to amp this up even further. So at this point, I'd say it's going to handle a little bit closer to Baruch's third ability, Desolate Hands, where you can get way above the damage reduction cap. But because of that and how Null Stars work, Null Stars, what it does is every, I think, second, one of those particles that are like around her will go out and seek out a target to damage. But the fact is you're losing particles as that goes on. So I think the whole point is this can happen without having to worry about particle losses. Like you can confidently stay at 90% without having to worry too much about your particles going away.
We also changed how the damage reduction works. Before it only affected health, now it affects health and shields. We also changed
that right there is already such a big change because it essentially acted like armor, which I thought was weird, and essentially he standardized this damage reduction to work across health and shields. So that's already going to make her a lot tankier than she used to be.
Change the damage to blast. In fact, all of her abilities used to be all over the place in terms of which types of damage they did. Now they all do.
Sorry about that interruption.
And now the damage reduction from each particle scales with strength. So between those two things, it's much easier to get to the cap of damage reduction. We also changed how the damage reduction works. Before it only affected health. Now it affects health and shields. We also changed the damage to blast. In fact, all of her abilities used to be all over the place in terms of which types of damage they did. Now they all do blast. And this one in particular has a guaranteed status and an increased base damage.
So you see where I went with the fact that my suggestion to make everything blast has landed home here.
Much more effective. For antimatter drop, we made it so that it's much easier to control. As you move your camera around, it will actually stay much closer to the center of your view. You will also now be able to recast whenever you want, and that will make it travel much faster to whatever destination you're giving it. So it's much easier for you to like cast it, charge it, and then drop it as a bomb wherever you desire. And we also made it a little larger so it's easier to hit, and now it has a much better communication for as it charges.
And I think this is such a big leap into where it goes, because I think this is such a slept on ability. The fact is they're improving it. They've improved it a lot, especially with that easier to hit thing. It wasn't the biggest problem for most people, but honestly, for a lot of weapons, it made it almost impossible to use. And I think it's a great change that they made.
Charges, it starts filling up. Also, we changed the charge mechanics so that it works better at lower levels of gear as well as higher levels of gear.
Now, one thing that I want to clarify with Antimatter Drop is it also has a guaranteed status for Blast. So, it's going to be a big damage multiplier because it's not only going to do an ungodly amount of damage, it's on top of that going to do an additional hit with Blast procs.
For Wormhole, it used to have duration and charges. Now it only has charges, and we now can see it visibly on top of the portal, so you can know how many charges it had left. Also, we made it so that when you press and hold the ability, you get a better preview of where you're going to end up being teleported to. And as I teased earlier when I was talking about the passive, now Molecular Prime has a hold cast, which will do the fast version. So you have the normal version on top and the fast version on hold. And now you don't need to go into negative strength to actually get the fast version. And we also added so that the multiplier now affects more than it used to. Before it only affected damage to health. Now it also affects damage to shields and to overguard. And we also did a pass across the game to all the different frames, and we actually made it standardized like that. Some of them already did that. A lot of them were only doing it to health or health and shields. It was pretty inconsistent. Now we made it consistent across the board. I hope you're excited to play with these changes. Some of them long requested, and you'll get them in your hands soon. Adios.
So, one more thing to note about Molecular Prime is he made this thing extra busted. He didn't show it on camera, but Molecular Prime will explode on death, like usual. But on top of that, each of those explosions have a 20% blast status chance. I think that's huge. Because imagine pairing, say, the Kuva Brahma with that. You're getting a multi-kill, meaning you're getting multiple chances, and if you happen to reach those 10 stacks of blast, that means you've essentially generated a second additional explosion, and this could create that chain cascade effect that I personally have been looking for in Warframe. I'll be completely honest with you, that's the only feeling that I really get out of Destiny is the idea that I can get an explosion, chain it off to another, and it's going to chain off infinitely so long as I know what I'm doing right, and so long as the enemy levels are, well, it doesn't even matter what enemy levels are. That's the big thing, is that enemy levels do not matter when it comes to volatile procs in Destiny 2. Just as long as you deal enough damage to them, then they will pop open and explode.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Pablo. So speaking of, Pablo and the team, we do just want to do a shout out to the digital extremes all over the world, many in Canada, and it's all thanks to all their hard work that we're able to be here today and present to everyone here and online. And they're working, a lot of them right now.
A lot of people, thank you for saying that.
I'm surprised that they're working, because in Eastern Standard Time over here in North America, which is where DE is situated in terms of where they're headquartered, that right there is it would have been 10:30 for them, just to clarify. It would have been 10:30 for them. Now, let's take a look at the 5 new Incarnans. The Sestra, the Dara, the Okina, the Sicarus, and the Sybaris. Honestly, I was a little bit surprised that the Dara ended up being true, but you know what? Good for them. People started trading Rivens around it, and I didn't really take part in it. But ultimately, I think it's fine that I don't. I think it's great that we're getting a new set of Incarnans, especially, I don't think the Okina really needs one, but I could definitely see a call for help from, the Sicarus and the Sestra. That's just my personal opinion on it, though. I could be completely wrong in your eyes, but that's just how it is. Now, time for the biggest part that I'm personally the most excited for, the companion rework.
Hello. I bring you news about the much anticipated
I also find it funny that throughout these videos that they play on screen, you can actually hear like Rebecca and the others talking to each other, like whispering, because their microphones aren't fully off. So you can actually hear them trying to coordinate what what they're supposed to talk about next after the video.
Companion rework. Starting with the part that you're probably the most anxious about, what's happening with Smita. So we don't like the resource boost on Charm. The way it works right now is every 27 seconds, there's a 28% chance for you to get a buff. And out of that, there's a 10% chance for you to get the resource buff. So that means 2.8% chance every 27 seconds for you to get the buff you want. So what happens in practice is players will kill an enemy, they'll see the resource they want drop, and then they'll just wait around for several minutes at a time until the buff comes up, and then they'll pick it up. Obviously, this is not very fun gameplay. It's not very conducive to the high-speed gameplay of Warframe, so we don't like that. The other thing we don't like is that because resources are so valuable, people feel forced to use Meta even when they don't want to. So what we're doing is we're grabbing that resource buff and we're putting it into a mod.
Now, let me be clear here. This is an absolute win. Sure, Smita doesn't get the buff specifically anymore, but this just means that you have a lot more freedom to put whatever companion you want on. This is no longer a precepts mod that's specific to Smita. This is now something you can equip, like, say, Fetch, for example. And hell, I'm pretty sure this actually synergizes with... I'm pretty sure this synergizes with Fetch, honestly. Like, this is so huge, because, like, now you don't need to use a Smita. You can just pick whatever companion you want, and I've personally been enjoying the Helmet's Charger. But let's see what they have to say about things like that.
This mod will fit into every beast companion, and what it will do is instead of being a cooldown with an RNG on top of an RNG, it'll just be a single RNG. When you pick up an item, it'll be a chance for it to double the resources you get. You'll see in the bottom of the screen, it'll say 300 rubido, and then next to it, it'll say 2x, just so that you know that that was what it came from. Now, you're probably wondering two things. One, what's happening with Mita herself now that she doesn't have that? We're going to buff the chance for you to get a buff on her, just to compensate her a little bit, and also we're going to buff the affinity part of the buff that she got. And then the second thing you're probably wondering about is, Paulo, a mod sounds great, but my beast companions already have a super tight build. There's no way that I can fit another mod in there, so how am I going to do that?
So, just to clarify with all of you, I don't see it as an absolute win because I don't mod my companions. I very much do. I'm in this very particular situation that Pablo's talking about. I don't know about all of you. I've met several other people who strictly state that they do not mod their companions because companions feel useless to them. And, well, this is why this is happening. So I hope to those people who are watching, I hope you are contextualizing this, because this is important.
For that, I'm going to pass it off to Grant, who's going to tell you about all the other changes we're making with companions. I think you'll be pretty happy with what we're doing. Bye.
Thanks, Pablo. As Pablo said, I'm Grant. I'm a senior gameplay programmer here at Warframe. Last year, I worked on Companion Rework Phase 1, and I'm back for Phase 2. Beast modding has always been a bit of a tight squeeze. You've got 10 mods to fit survivability, utility, damage, abilities, you name it. It's a lot, and how we're going to solve this is we're going to take all these attack mods and move them into new special pet weapons tied to your pet. Each of these pet weapons have their own unique stat blocks. So, for instance, your Hero's pet has enhanced critical abilities, whereas your Predicites have various different status types tied to their base damage. Beyond the pre-existing mods like Bite, Maul, etc., we'll be adding a few base damage.
Let me just put it this way, right? You notice how there's no longer a stat block for critical chance, status chance, and all that? It's because they moved it to a new thing, and they kept the 10 mods here. This, in effect, at least what it states to me, personally, is we've essentially gotten 8 new mod slots for these companions. And this is huge. This is like really, really huge in my opinion.
Beyond the pre-existing mods like Bite, Maul, etc., we'll be adding a few new mods to help fill out the Beast Weapon mod pool. On top of this...
See, like, we actually get 9 because fun thing is they're actually adding things for essentially what his stance is. But on top of that, they are putting things like Hunter Synergy, Maul, Bite, all of that into these new weapon archetypes. And like you can now do things that are pretty goofy on them now.
Beast weapons feature a special posture slot, which lets you equip new posture mods which influence the behavior and provide a bonus to support that playstyle.
Actually,
for example,
he does it
we've
for
added
me.
a
So again, developmental build value is not final, but it looks like this might be the final going forward. All I can say for certain right here and right now is this is big. This is really big, and a big complaint that people have had with Beast Companions in particular, because it kind of feels like they do not do anything and they just sort of exist. And they've made changes to make them more visible, but key here is you can now customize the AI on your companions. You can customize what they prioritize, and I think this is great and this is amazing. And I feel like this might be a little bit underappreciated because a lot of people that I see, they'll say it's great and all. I think they don't understand just how much customization this is. This is essentially a level of customization I didn't think would be available to Warframe, considering how finicky AI has been generally in Warframe. And I've never seen it done in a different game ever. So this, I think, is just wow. This is a big wow moment for me.
Posture mod, which would prefer to target Xmas enemies and deal increased damage to their overguard. Postures, like melee stances, give extra mod capacity, so you can fit more mods in your build. And speaking of behaviors, we will be making systematic improvements to how your pet moves and attacks, so that their attacks are more visible and useful. We hope that this helps free up space in your builds and offers you new opportunities to customize your pet's effectiveness in a fight. But Grant, what about Sentinels? Well, you'll be happy to hear that it's not just Beasts getting a facelift. Sentinels are getting a broad rework of their weapons. The majority of Sentinel weapons have either outdated stats or redundant designs. Our goal is to make the weapons more interesting and bring their power up to the level of the current king, the Verglas. In some cases, this is just a stats refresh, but in other cases, we have totally overhauled the weapon or just added some cool mechanics to it. I think we've created a lot of cool new options for you. To see more about that, check out our dev workshop on the forums that'll go up after the show. So beyond weapons, we're also looking at companion precepts.
Now, before he goes into precepts, let me just say, the Sentinel weapons needed it. The Sentinel weapons needed major buffs to how they function. Otherwise, they would have remained useless. Like, yes, the Verglas is strong, but that's one out of like maybe 3 or 4 weapons that are decently strong enough to actually do anything. So I appreciate that they're going this far into reworking companions. And at this point, I wouldn't call it a companion rework. I would just straight up call this a companion overhaul, because it is.
A big factor in picking what companion you bring to your build is what exclusive mods it brings to the table. And to be honest, a lot of these were overly niche, pointless, and some just didn't function as intended. To address this, we've got over 20 updated precepts and counting. Some just needed stat adjustments, others needed total reworks. Our hope is to breathe new life into pets which have otherwise been outclassed, such as the Helmets Charger and the Predicites. For more information and a full list of what's changing,
Hey,
check
I
out
use the Helmets Charger, don't say that.
dev workshop on the forum, where you'll find all this information. To recap, expect Companion Rework Phase 2 to include beast weapons, new mods, AI improvements and behavior customization, new Sentinel weapons, and many precepts reworked. Last year, we did Companion Rework Phase 1, which addressed companion survivability and introduced bond mods to encourage new builds. I can't wait to see what new builds you cook up this time around. That's all from me, Tenno. Enjoy the rest of the show.
はい、ありがとうございます、ガントさん。
Thank you, Grant.
All right, we're gonna speed run through these next couple things because I think you want to get through to 1999. Am I right?
Bye, Sheldon. Let's go. Let's go.
ちょっと皆さん99に関してもちょっと知りたいと思うので、さっきからちょっといろいろ言われてるので、ちょっとここの最後の方ではちょっと巻きでいこうと思います。はい。
All right, a new invasion mission is coming to Warframe in Cetus. You're gonna have to save Cetus, and this is how you're going to get Kume's parts.
So let me clarify for them. They do clarify this a little more in the in the bonus dev stream. When they mean in Cetus, they mean in Cetus. Like, this is not just, oh, in the Plains of Eidolon, there's a new threat. No, this is like in the actual open world. This is actually in the hub of Cetus that you fight. And I think this is something that has been widely requested as well, is like battles in these social hubs, because we're to protect like the people from something that isn't essentially divided by a gate, right? This is a threat that is right beside you.
2 signature weapons, those blueprints, and just learn about who Kume is and why is she the Shrine Maiden of
Again
Cetus.
with the Kume.
そう、今回のアップデートのシータス地球ですね。のシータスで、新しい侵略ミッションが追加されて、でそこで、孔明のパーツ、それと彼女の武器ですねのパーツも集められ、そして彼女のバックストーリー、これも知ることができて、で、もちろん鋼の道のり、もあるんですが、このゲームモードは一応新規プレイヤーでも全然遊べる難易度となっているので、ぜひ
This update may be related to.
Now then. Yes! Thank you! Steam login credential bypass. I'll let her explain what it does, but thank you! Also, the improved fusion and unknown mod, drop location stuff, yada yada. Let me just say with the fusion UI, this actually allows them to do one special thing that I also think has been long requested by new players, newer-ish players specifically. You will now be able to fuse you'll be now God damn it. You'll be able to fuse your mods in the Arsenal mod screen. Like, you can be modding a weapon but not have a max rank mod, and so you can perform fusion without having to go to the bottom right, go to mods, go to upgrade and all that. You can just do it straight from the arsenal. This is so huge. Now, Void Relics now display owned and crafted status. This, I think, is a big win, because like a lot of people have been using a program called ElecoFrame for this, and now it's inbuilt to the game, and I think this is great all across the board.
A big one related to Steam users.
Yeah, just really quick, very exciting. If you play on Steam and you're sick of typing your password, if you connect your account to Steam, you can bypass the password now if you launch through Steam. So if your password is something like, you know, Ember Best Girl 69.
そう今回のアップデート、さらに、Steam 版、新版でプレイしている場合は、これまでね、Steam 版で開けても毎回パスワード入力しなきゃいけないのが、アカウントの連携を行うことで自動ログイン、これが可能になります。このため、
ごめんなさい。That's it. Next.
And as we know, Warframe is cross-play and cross-save. Happy to announce in Kume and the Five Fates, cross-trading and cross-gifting is finally coming across all 5 platforms.
そうアップデートで
And this, I was a little bit surprised about that this would happen in so soon, just because Switch, this particular thing. I don't know if everyone here knows. I don't know if y'all know, but Nintendo is notorious for being, let's just say, stingy with this kind of thing. Right? Because they want people spending money on, say, Platinum, because then that means they get a cut from it, and that means for things like Warframe slots and weapon slots, you're forced to pay instead of doing what DE intended for, and that is earn the Platinum for those slots. Though, on that note, just a quick thing of my opinion of Warframe slots and weapon slots. Weapon slots, I think, are fine. I think Warframe slots should be a lot more accessible. you start out with 2. I think at minimum, you start out with 5, or, hear me out now, you can also just state that Warframe slots and loadout slots have swap places. So Warframe slots can only be bought. Loadout slots are earned, however, and I think it'd be better if loadout slots were bought only, and Warframe slots were granted per every 2 mastery ranks. The reason why I think this particular substitution would work is because loadout slots are a really big part of, say, this is a lot for, say, me. I do a lot of loadouts. I think loadouts are great, and it's great quality of life. It doesn't impede me to not have them, but it's sort of like a feature that you kind of can't not have. But Warframe slots are a lot more crucial in the long run, because this determines how many Warframes you're able to play with to begin with.
ではついに全機種でクラスプラットフォームの、トレードとプレゼントが可能になります。
Our special guest that is going to take over
Here's our
Sheldon's
special
warm
guest.
seat over there.
ここで特別ゲストをお呼びしたいと思います。99で青役を演じた高橋アルファさんです。はい。
高橋アルファさん。
皆様ごきげんよう。
So, before we continue with this, well, I'll try to get her in a more... Here, a little bit more of a positive light. I don't think people just realize where she's been, and I think it's important to denote where she comes from. Like, a lot of people understand Ben Starr and his big role, because he's part of, if I recall correctly, he's part of Final Fantasy 14? Or... I don't know what it is, but it's like one of the latest Final Fantasies. But yeah, just to clarify, Ben Starr, the voice of Arthur Nightingale, Proto-Excalibur, voices... And I did a lot of research for this just because curiosity sometimes doesn't kill the cat. But the voice of Arthur, Proto-Excalibur, he voices a character named Clive Rosfield from Final Fantasy. And Alpha Takahashi here is very talented, and I know this because you hear her voice, she does perfect English, she does perfect Japanese, and yet she can also fake an accent. And I know this because she also plays Hanako Arasaka from Cyberpunk 2077, both in the base game and in Phantom Liberty. The fact is, she's a big name that people don't realize, I think. Because, like, nobody really thinks about that. Like, Ben Starr's, like, the big name. Alpha's, like, a very good close second.
高橋アルファです。本日は東京ゲームショウにてライブ配信ということで、ロサンゼルスより応援に参りました。My name is Alpha, and I have the honor of voicing Aoi in 1999. This is my first time at Tokyo Game Show, and I'm so thrilled to be with this amazing team of Warframe.
Oh, Alpha, honestly, we are so honored to have you on the team and part of our update. You are
and just to clarify what I mean by I was surprised to hear that, the fact that this was her first Tokyo Game Show.
I'm so happy to just be here on stage with you. Thank you.
All right. For the first time ever in Warframe, we are doing a demo in-game for Warframe 1999.
今回99に向けてなんと体験版が用意されていると思うので、はい。
Starting October 16th, in-game, you're going to be able to play a 1999 demo as Arthur. You'll hear Aoi in this demo, and you'll play an exterminate mission in the world of 1999, including riding the Atomy cycle.
そう、日本時間の10月17日より、そう体験版プレイでき、アーサーとしてプレイし、オールバニアの世界でもちろんアトミサイクルを乗れます。そこで、スカルドラ消滅ミッション、そこに挑んでいただきます。
So let's take a quick look at the 1999 demo.
デモ動画あるのでどうぞ。
I am headed out. What are you doing, Green Watch?
You got it.
Oh, and hey, I gave your Tommy a full tune-up. Go ahead and fire her up.
Not bad.
So just like in the real 90s, we're actually doing like a shareware demo in Warframe. So as long as you have Warframe installed and you've beaten the tutorial, on October 16th, there will be a small little single mission for you to play 1999 as Arthur with a motorcycle, get a cool skin for your longsword, the protocol skin.
この体験版は全プレイヤーどこにいてもプレイできる内容となっているので、ぜひクリアしてプロトコルロングソードスキンゲットしてください。
And you can replay it as many times as you want.
Did you really just do the motorcycle noises?
挑戦してみてください。
All right, we talked about our 58th Warframe Kome. What about our 59th Warframe Site 09?
58体目が孔明で
As I said
59
before,
体
we're
目
very
となる
close to
ワー
60.
フレーム彼のサイト09ですね。はい、どのようになるんでしょうか。
So we have a little video of Site 09 and his cosmetics. We're playing around a little bit with what he could look like in game with some colors. He's going to be our sniper Warframe.
Yeah, one of his abilities will certainly be an exalted sniper rifle.
Which I'm sort of hyped for. Exalted sniper rifle? Yes, please.
クインシーがベースになったのこのウォーフレームは狙撃特化のウォーフレームとなっておりまして、
Look at those.
こういう風になっているので、ぜひ続行をお待ちください。
And here's Quincy Site 09's proto frame Gemini skin that will be coming in 1999.
もちろんジェミニスキンも用意されます。ジェミニ、ジェミナイ、
Gemini.
Gemini?
Hi.
Really, Gemini?
いいですね。
And first announced at TennoCon earlier this year, we're collabing with a animation studio, The Line, on a Warframe 1999 anime short. And we brought here with us today some work in progress early version.
Okay, so I'm a little bit excited to discuss this part because I find it funny. Later on, Rebecca says a line about how Letty's not Josuke. I think you'll know why, but this just sort of brings up the discussion of which of these poses emanates the most JoJo. And personally, I think this, out of all of them, emanates the most JoJo energy right here. Right, if you can't see my cursor because I'm dumb, then I'm talking about the one that's standing straight up and front and center towards you.
Of the characters, the Hex Syndicate.
そう、天のコンで発表された、ザ・ラインというアニメーションスタジオ、彼らには90
That also brings up another thing. He says Zaline. I'm just thinking Zavardo.
9のちょっとショートアニメを、制作していて、今ももちろん制作中であって、今回はちょっとキャラクターのコンセプトアートを用意させていただきました。
And it's really fun for us because usually you don't get to show early works for a promotional video.
Alright, so here's Aoi. My personal pick for this is this one right here. And if you don't know, it's the one where she's basically holding her hands on her hips. Her shoulders are a bit flared out. It's the one, the second to the left one. If you can pick that one out in particular. That one emanates the most JoJo energy for me there.
Video. So this video will be a launch trailer. It's a nice little short animated piece, and it's really fun to be able to collaborate and show you the work in progress. Because usually we don't get to do this, so we're very excited. So this is Aoi.
葵、どうですか、コンセプトアート見てみて。
これ見てみて、もう本日初めて見させていただいて感激です。It's my first time seeing this, and
so good. Beautiful. And next up we have.
Here's Volt. Here's Amir, and honestly, I don't really see a whole lot of JoJo out of him, other than maybe this one or this one. And the two I picked out, again, just in case I'm dumb, is the, aside from the full body, like second to the right, where he's messing with his glasses a little, or the one up top where he's just standing there. Honestly, though, biggest JoJo energy probably coming from the one that's messing with his glasses.
Amir or Volt?
They keep skipping around a lot, don't they?
And then we got Quincy.
Quincy, and this is undeniable. This is the most... Well, actually, now that I think about it, it's not really the most JoJo energy, but it's like... It's a pose that I would expect out of Zarya, if that makes sense, if you've ever known Overwatch. But this also has, like, JoJo energy to it. But this is more Overwatch-ish than it is JoJo. But let's be fair. There's definitely a good line of JoJo energy there.
And then we got Letty.
And...
Not Josuke.
There it is. Not Josuke. Even though, let's see, this looks like Josuke, this looks like Josuke, this looks like Josuke, this looks like Josuke. Honestly, it's the hair. The hair is just undeniably Josuke.
Letty.
そう、レイティですね。まあちょっと言えないですけど、まあさせてください。
And Eleanor, also known as Nyx, and Arthur's sister.
All right, so let's see. Eleanor, honestly speaking, this one. The one up top. The center up top one. Yes, she's sticking her tongue out. I would say this emanates JoJo energy the most, for the simple fact that, well, I honestly don't know. A lot of these deductions that I'm making are just based off of what energy I'm getting off of these poses. And again, the energy I'm getting from JoJo meter is this one's maximum JoJo. I think it might have been because of that, you know what? Never mind. If you want, go see Matt Pet's old video about can you taste someone's lies? Yes, that is a video he made. No, I do not want to rewatch it.
で、エレノはこれ一応アーサーの双子の姉という設定になっております。はい。
Alright, we have one last thing for you today from Warframe 1999, and it is related to Aui's Gemini skin.
そう、ここで最後、ね、99最後のちょっと発表といいますか、ちょっとニュースがあるんですけど、ここ、葵さんになんか関係しているということなので、何なんでしょう。
So we are very excited to show you the transformation from Meg to Aui's Gemini skin. Let's take a look.
はい、ではマグから葵、葵からマグのジェミナイスキンの変身シーンですね。見ていきましょう。
私の鼓動を感じて大切にしてね。
Very nice. Very nice. Hi.
What did you say there when you transformed with the Gemini skin?
I said, feel every beat of my heart, keep it safe.
Sounds a little romantic. Maybe at that point a player has romanced Aoi.
A little intimate, it sounds like, yes.
And honestly, this sounds like they're hinting at the fact that they are saying that the Gemini skins might have different lines based off of their romance status.
So just for those of you who don't know, the Gemini skins, when Warframe 1999 launches, the 6 characters will receive skins that can transform, and you as a player can choose to switch forms mid-mission, however you want, and that is this new tier of deluxe skin that's voiced. So they're all voiced if you choose to use them.
I'm a little bit curious as to how that might actually work, like in the Arsenal menu though.
彼ら全員にジェミナイスキンが、アップデートで冬のアップデートですねで用意され、プロトフレーム版になるとフルボイスのなることができるのでぜひそちらも楽しんでください。
So we're very excited, and those will be available for Platinum with the launch in winter 2024. I don't want people to
You don't want to make people
Okay,
think
cool.
that it's free.
Awesome.
All right, that is it for Devstream 181. We are honestly just so honored and thankful to be here amongst you all in Tokyo. There's a 13-hour time difference from our hometown of London, Ontario, and to have a booth here to see you all, I see Warframe shirts, I see Warframe creators, and it's just, we're filled with love to be here, so thank you so much for having us.
そう5年ぶりの、日本ということで、はるばる、カナダから13時間かけ
Kome's
て、そして
so
時差
hyped
も
though.
13時間あって、そこまでしても、皆さんにお会いたいということで、そして今ここに来れたということは本当に嬉しいと言ってるので。
And thank you, Alpha, for joining us as a special guest.
Thank you very much for having me. 皆さんにお会いできて本当に光栄です。ありがとうございます。
And we hope everyone really enjoyed our content. We're really excited to release it next week. And this has honestly been a dream come true. We've been working on Warframe, some of us, for over 11 years. And we are so grateful for our team and our players for supporting us, because we would not be here without you all on Twitch chat, in person, in Tokyo Game Show.
そう皆さんこのウォーフレームを11年
So we're on their final thoughts on everything. Let me just put my thoughts on though is the fact that she mentions working on Warframe for 11 years. I will be so honest, knowing the history of Warframe and its rocky starts and beginnings, Warframe is a miracle. And I'm not saying like, oh, the game development of it, the team is a miracle, which they are, but it's less about that, more about the fact that the actual lucky breaks that they'd gotten at that time is just amazing to hear, right? An example of this is how they essentially didn't get support, but through perseverance, they just decided that they're going to do it because it's what they want to do. And if they're going down as a company, they're going down guns blazing. The other note is they would not have, and they still regularly thank Total Biscuit, another YouTube creator. I'm not sure what exactly happened with him, but Total Biscuit rocketed Warframe into mainstream popularity. And I think it's just a great showing, because another note about Total Biscuit's review of it is that he didn't decide to play it because he was not because he specifically wanted to go over Warframe specifically, but because at the time he got bored of whatever game he was playing at the time. He was looking for something new and fresh, and Warframe just so happened to be free to play. So he downloaded it and started playing through it just to get on YouTube for it. And without him commenting and rating and doing things in it, Warframe wouldn't be here just as it is now. And in all likelihood, it's very possible that DE as a company would have had to essentially close down their doors, and everyone else there would have had to find new employment. And honestly, I'm just so happy that we're in the universe, we're in the timeline that DE is still a company, and they're not just another company. They are, in my opinion, one of the best companies because they treat everyone who interacts with them with respect and kindness. And just take a look at their interaction with Alpha when she comes on stage, right? Alpha saying that she's honored to be with the Warframe crew, and like Rebecca and Megan, they're basically saying that it's not her. The honor is theirs for being able to work with her. And I don't know many other companies that would do anything similar to that. Like, sure, it's on stage, so they might, but they didn't have to, firstly. And secondly, this is also how they genuinely feel, I'm pretty sure. Because this is the same type of energy they give for all of their dev streams. This is Devstream 181. I haven't watched all of them myself, per se, but I've watched since, I think, Devstream, I want to say like Devstream 40 something, and I'm here now, and they've consistently been kind and nice and just overall respectful, and they've only become more respectful and such in recent times. Kudos to you, DE, because I do not think there is another company on this planet that is just as overall good as you two, as you guys. I'm saying you two because I see two people on stage right now.
年目ということで、ここに座っている3人は
I also need to make another note. They're not afraid to not be corporate. That's another note. They are a growing company. They're generally not the smallest company. They're a medium-sized company, I'd say, with like 500-ish employees, last I checked. But they're not afraid to not be corporate. And I think that's a lesson that a lot of people need to, a lot of companies need to learn, right? Because Rebecca on the left side, not only is she like a geek, not only is she a nerd, because she not only cosplays, but she like during the dev short before this, she had mentioned specifically that she did confirm the existence of a Dio cosplay that she has. And I do mean Dio from JoJo. Megan, on the other hand, she's very nice, and I don't know too much about her particular hobbies. I don't know too much about Rebecca's particular hobbies, but the fact is, they're not afraid to just be down to earth and just sort of talk with people like people.
11年目ですよ。11年、11 years? 11 years?
13.
13年。もう
13.
本当に皆さんのサポートがあってからこそここまで来れたので、本当にありがとうございます。
And if you're here at Tokyo Game Show, we do have fun Warframe merch at the InfoLens booth if you want to get yourself a little 1999 towel and some t-shirts.
I want that towel.
So sweaty. Sweaty, sweaty.
Not that particular towel, but just I like the design on that towel. It's very nice.
ブースで物販セールがあって T シャツ白と黒ですね。とこちらのスポーツタオルなのかなが用意されているので、ぜひチェックしてください。
And of course, thank you everyone. This has been a great day, and we just hope you play Warframe and play it for many years to come. And we'll see you online, Kume and the Five Fates next week, October 2nd, and the 1999 demo, October 16th. See you at our booth.
東京ゲームショウ皆さん書いていただきありがとうございます。ワーフレンブース、ホール7、CO1 にあるので、そこでいろんなショーとかイベントもあり、プレゼントとかも行っているので、ぜひこの後お越しください。では、ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。Thank you.
ありがとうございます。ございます。ありがとうございます。Man. Now, I know this took a while, and I know that I spent a lot of time. Honestly, if you've made it this far, because I'll also be frank, I don't feel like editing this. This is sort of last minute for me, and I'm sorry for any of the mistakes that I made speaking, any of the sort of interruptions that I've had, any of the pauses that I make when I talk. It's just, I just hope that you find this insight in their dev stream very nice. I just hope that y'all like this. And please, I am new to YouTube. I am new to making videos. So if you have any comments, if you have any criticisms for me, please put it in the comment section and tell me for now, do you want me to go over the bonus dev stream, even though that dev stream is going to be, well, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but the update's coming tomorrow. I'm going to upload this today. And I know it's not going to get the most attraction right away, but I just want to know, what do you guys think? Should I go over that bonus again already, or uh would you rather me go into what I would say is my next venture? My next adventure for you all is I'm going to start giving you loadout videos. As I said, I use loadouts a lot, and I think that's a type of content that people are missing out on, because you also hear a whole lot of meta this, meta that, game breaking this, game breaking that. I'm not all for that, because yes, it is funny to see that from time to time. What I want to provide everyone here is a good time. I want to provide builds that aren't meta defining or meta breaking, but just things that will perform well enough to do well in most types of content. And I'm telling you this now because I want to know, essentially, I want you to know what my next steps are. I may take a while at this because, as you heard, as you saw in this video, yes, it's like 2 hours now, but I suck at speaking. And I want you to understand where I'm going so that you know what to expect roughly. Now, I thank you for coming in to watch this at all, knowing the daunting length of this video. I appreciate you watching this video at all, and it would be a major help if you could subscribe, like, comment, anything to do with the video. And please let me know what can I improve, and tell me what you think I should work on next. Now, until next time, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you've gotten to the end of it